Hey guys, Chris from HockeyTutorial here, and today you guessed it, going to be doing an in the bag video. I like to put one of these together every single year so you can see what's inside my bag, what I'm using, rather what I'm still using, or maybe what I've switched over to. This in the bag video is probably going to have, I'd say, the biggest changes from all of the other ones that you've seen previously. Now of course, before we jump into what's inside the bag, let's take a look at the bag itself. I'm still using the Grit Icon bag. You guys know that I'm a big believer of bags that are breathable. This has a mesh on the side that's normally covered by a sleeve that you can remove, but since I've had this bag, I took the mesh off. I actually don't know where the sleeve, that covers the mesh actually is anymore. I removed it a very long time ago and I've never put it back since because the bag can breathe and I can kind of see what's inside the bag from the side, which I really like the look of. You guys know that I'm a big fan of the bags that Grit create because they're all about breathable bags, and I'm also a massive fan of Conway & Banks bags as well, but I'm going to save that for a separate video. So if we jump into the bag, starting off with the, I guess you could say, the not so interesting stuff, base layers, of course. You guys know that I'm a big supporter of them. If you want to know why, it's because it creates a layer between your body and your equipment. So the majority of your sweat, your dead skin cells, all of that stuff ends up in the base layers and not your equipment. So it helps it last longer, smell fresher. That's always important, provided you dry it properly. Now the bottoms that I'm using that of course have a, I'm going to refer to it as a nut cup. I'm just going to call it a nut cup because that's what I call it. Forget the proper name. These are the Adrenaline bottoms. I'm a big fan of the stuff that Adrenaline do. I like the straps that they attach to them that your socks clip onto, so you don't really have to put tape on your socks when you jump onto the ice, and they're just comfortable. This is probably my third pair. I've been using these for quite a number of years since the pre-production set that they sent me, and I'm still using them now. So I'll move that to one side. From there, looking at the top that I use, this is just a really standard top. There's nothing really special about this. No straps, no crazy materials, pretty straightforward. And in terms of who it's from, this is some base layers that I've picked up from BAUER, but nothing really special going on here. The other boring stuff, set of extra boxer shorts, yellow towel, nothing too cool there. But moving on to the socks, I'm using these orangey red and white ones. These were sent to me by Puckstop because I needed them quite urgently. I prefer to use all white, and I am going to pick some up, but this is what I had at short notice, and this is what I'm using currently. So big thank you to Puckstop for hooking us up with these. Now from there, moving to the jerseys that I keep inside my bag. This gold jersey was made for me by our good friends in the Czech Republic, my very good friend Alex Padalek. He made this one for me. It's got a little inscription on the side that says the Defiant One. I like the color. I'd never probably use this in like a scrimmage or like a rec game just because it's a bit loud and it's just asking to get lit up on the ice. But when I'm filming videos, I like to chuck this one on a lot of the times. You guys have probably seen it in some of the stick videos that we filmed. The jersey that I use the most is going to be the traditional HockeyTutorial jersey. This one right here. This is probably my favorite jersey, again, made by my good friend Alex Padalek, who is from the Czech Republic. This is my favorite jersey, the one that I use when I'm on the ice every single time, and a lot of my friends that I play with also have these as well, so it's nice to step out onto the ice and be matching. Now moving on to what's inside the bag in terms of my equipment. Now the first thing that is on the top, which is going to be the most easiest thing to reach, is my shorts. These are from CCM. These are CCM's Quick Light shorts. These are essentially top spec or pro spec because it has the little pads over here for sponsorship or sponsorship patches. Like, I'm not trying to say that I'm a pro, by no means. I'm as beer league as a beer league player can possibly get. But I like these for two reasons. One, the way I like to think about equipment is if you put it on and you don't think about it when you're on the ice, that's the right equipment. I don't want to be adjusting it, feeling uncomfortable, noticing that the gear's there. I just want to be able to focus on playing. And this is what I felt since I've been using these. I've used these for a really long time. I did switch at one point, but quickly switched back. I've just found these to be really comfortable. I don't notice them when I'm on the ice, which is the big thing. Now, why I really like these sponsorship pads that you're meant to rip out and put like Velcro stickers of whoever's sponsoring you, I'm not sponsored, is because when we're filming, I often need to have various microphones on me, sound recorders a lot of the times, my phone on me quite a lot of the times, and I don't have anywhere to put that when I'm in full gear. But these little pads act as pockets. It sounds bizarre, but for what I need, it works really well, and that's why I've kind of stuck to these. So those two reasons, comfort and the fact that I can use those patches as pockets. But yeah, I like these. They have the laces as well as the straps to tighten up. Just really comfortable. And you guys know that I'm a big fan of the color red. So next up from there is going to be my body armor, or my shoulder pads, depending on what you like to call it. This is the AS1. Again, these are pro spec. I like them because they're comfortable. They feature D3O. I do normally play in leagues that allow hitting or checking, so it's nice to have a little bit of protection for your chest and also your shoulders if you play in leagues that hit. I don't often get hit, but it's nice to know that if I do get hit, I've got D3O to protect me. But you guys probably saw these in the last video that I filmed, but I think then pretty much everything that I was using was AS1 protective, possibly even the shorts, but I switched back to the quick light because of the reasons I explained earlier on. But these shoulder pads or chest protection, or whatever you want to call it, I've stuck with. So big fan of these with the D3O, and they're comfortable. Don't have any red on them, but I do like these very much. Now, moving on to my knee pads or leg pads, this is where things get a bit interesting. If you remember the first in the bag video that I filmed, possibly the first one, and I was in Pennsylvania in the US, this is what I had then. These were actually the first set of my own equipment that I got when I first started to play hockey. You can tell by the name of these are Supreme 1.4s. That kind of gives you an indication of how long I've been playing. But in terms of how these things have been, the straps have been sewn on and glued on countless times. They don't offer crazy protection. They're probably, I'd rate them as probably entry level. The reason I've gone back to these is because they just fit really well. Again, when I'm on the ice, I don't think about them. In the last in the bag video, I was using AS3 stuff, and it's not to say that I'm going from BAUER to CCM or anything like that, or vice versa. These are the first ones that I had. I just really like them. I don't think about them when I'm on the ice. And because I'm not typically in front of the net trying to block shots all the time, I don't feel like I need to up the protection. The AS1 protective with the D3O inside the kneecap and stuff was great, but I just prefer these. They're lightweight, and I like them. So that's why I've switched back to my original leg pads. And of course, before we get any deeper into the video, make sure you comment down below and let me know what stick, skates, gloves, protective, and also helmet that you guys are using. Comment down below and let me know. And make sure that if you like this type of video, you like it, and also subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of the videos that we post. Now from there, moving on to gloves, which would be a nice one to touch on. The gloves that I'm currently using right now are the 2X Pro gloves from BAUER. These were sent to me not that long ago. I was using some Warrior gloves probably before this in the bag video, but I've switched over to these. I've always said that Warrior gloves have the best straight out the box feel in terms of all of the gloves that I've tried. But these 2X Pros, I took them out the box when we first got our Hyperlight box from BAUER, and I loved how they felt straight out the box. Very flexible, very comfortable. They felt like they'd already been broken in. They featured red on them. So this is what I'm using right now. Just great fit. Again, I don't think about it when I'm on the ice. They don't slip, so I've just stuck with them. Now, next thing in here, again, is probably going to surprise you, is going to be my elbow pads. These are Vapor X 5.0 Vapor pads. These are pretty old again. I've had these for a really long time, and I switched back to these original ones because elbow pads for me are the most annoying. It doesn't matter which ones I use. After a while, after they've been broken in, they always start to slip down after the straps get loosened up. These just don't. They haven't for the longest of times. I've tried to switch out to various newer ones, all of the different versions that I've tried from CCM as well. These have just always done the job, so I've just stuck to them. It comes down to comfort and not having to think about the equipment, which is the reason I'm using these right now. Moving on from there to the helmet. This is again a new addition to my equipment bag, and this is the brand new Hyperlight helmet from BAUER. Now this, in terms of the way it looks inside, the green is pretty sick. I'd loved it if it was red. And the reason I'm using this is the weight is definitely noticeable. I don't really feel like there's a helmet on my head, especially if I rip the visor off. I tend not to do that, but if I did, I definitely wouldn't think about the helmet. It's very comfortable, it's very lightweight, and I always prefer helmets that aren't black. I don't like wearing the traditional hockey colors. I think black helmets are a bit dull. If you play in a league where you're required to wear a black helmet for, team purposes, I feel for you, but I like to wear white ones, red ones, yellow ones, blue ones, pretty much anything but black. So I tried this out along with the other stuff that BAUER have been sending us to create the videos that you guys have been watching recently, and I really did like it. I'm yet to get my hands on the X helmet from CCM, so if that ever does make it to me, you can expect not only a video on that, but some feedback on how it compares to this helmet over here. So for now, this is the one that I'm using because it's super light, very comfortable, and I love the color. From there, moving on to some other things inside the bag. Hockey socks. These are actually from a UK company. I really like them. They're very thick, so it does really depend on where I'm playing. If I'm playing somewhere that's notoriously cold, if it's a very cold rink or I'm playing outdoors, I do like to use these socks. But if I'm playing somewhere like that's pretty standard, like the Cambridge rink that I play at most of the time now, I use these socks over here. The only difference is they're also hockey specific. They're just a bit thinner. So it's a bit weird. Maybe not everyone carries 2 pairs of socks. Super thick, super thin, just depending on where I'm playing and what I'm looking for at the time. But these are the socks that I'm using. Other little things that I keep inside my bag. I don't want to be that guy in the locker room that never has tape. So I predominantly use white tape, but I've also got some black in there as well in case anyone needs it. Some leg tape as well. I definitely don't want to be that person constantly asking, so I do like to keep backups of these inside my bag. Last but not least is going to be the skates. What skates are in my bag right now? Again, probably going to come as a surprise, but at the minute I'm in the Ultrasonics from BAUER. I keep the footbeds out of the skates because when I use them, I like to take the footbeds out, let them breathe and dry properly so you don't get any nasty water building up and making the skates smell bad, essentially. Now, these particular skates over here, why I switched to them was, out of all the skates that I've been testing right now, predominantly I've been testing a lot of the BAUER skates. Of course, you guys know that I've also been testing CCM. I'm not done testing those as well, and I'm trying to decide if I like the FT4 Pros, the 100K Pros, or if I want to stick with the Ultrasonics. So you have to wait and see the video that we do on that. There's going to be an on-ice test of all of BAUER's and CCM's skates that will answer that question for you. But in terms of the skates that I've used, excluding the FT4 Pros and the 100Ks, these are the most comfortable and most maneuverable for my style of play. Now, a lot of you guys have noticed that we've dropped a lot of content on BAUER products, including the Hyperlights, because they're brand new. So why aren't I using the brand new, insanely light skates from BAUER? Essentially, when I jumped on the ice with the Ultrasonics and the Hyperlights I found for my style of play didn't allow me to stride properly, didn't allow me to turn properly. I didn't feel confident in them. I essentially couldn't skate in them the way that I wanted to skate. So if you asked me, looking at the technology on paper and the way that the skates looked, which skate I would have gone for, all day it would have been the Hyperlights, all day long. I never ever thought I would be in a pair of ultrasonic skates. But when I got on the ice with both of those skates, I just couldn't move naturally in the Hyperlights. But the Ultrasonics, it didn't feel like they were brand new, and these are brand new skates. I jumped on the ice and they felt like they were broken in immediately. The flexible tongue, but most importantly, that flexible tendon, the way this allows me to corner, maneuver on the ice, start, stop, accelerate, all of that stuff, these have been the ones that have just stood out as the most comfortable and the most well-designed skates for the way that I play out of the skates that I've been looking at right now, excluding the 100K Pros and the FT4 Pros because I'm still testing those. But out of the ones that I've looked at and used previously, these are definitely my go-to skates right now. So what this taught me is essentially, don't base your decision on a pair of skates on what you think they're going to be like. Of course, not everyone has the luxury of being able to try them on, but it's about identifying what type of a player that you are. These skates, BAUER has 2 different lines of skates that are designed for 2 different types of players. So really analyze those descriptions. I've created videos that I will link down below that explain those different types of players in that video quite clearly for you to kind of be able to figure out which one you associate with. Because although a lot of people think that it's just a color change and a couple features and it doesn't make a difference to the way that the skates perform and feel, the 2 different families make a massive, massive difference. It's like skating in 2 skates made by 2 completely different people. As I said, Hyperlights, as much as I love them and wanted to use them, I actually have 2 pairs, one's with my name and number on them, which are custom, and it pains me that I prefer the Ultrasonics, so hopefully I'll be able to get a pair of these made custom. It just caught me off guard. I didn't think that there was going to be that much of a difference between them, but that's the reason I'm in these. It's a very, very long breakdown, but I wanted to explain. I did switch out the TI blades that were normally featured on this, the Pulse TI blades, and replace them with, of course, the carbon lights. That's also been a really, really nice advantage, but I will say that the profile that comes with these blades as standard, as they're intended for a different line or different family of skates, was noticeable. I did notice a difference in the profile and how the blade felt and performed, and I'm going to correct that by changing the profile of the blade so it fits my style of play a little bit better. But hopefully this helps you guys to see why I've picked what I've picked and why I'm in what I'm in. Of course, please stand by for the videos that are going to be dropping on ice tests of BAUER skates and also CCM skates, because there's still a lot of information I need to reel off about the 100K Pros and the FT4 Pros, and of course the Hyperlights and the Ultrasonics when you put them on the ice and try them against each other to see how each of them performs and feels. And some of the other things I keep inside my bag, of course, includes a comb for my beard because I have no hair, deodorant, I use only organic deodorant from Mr. Organic, some aftershave, and also some moisturizer or lotion because African people love to moisturize. And looking at the two sticks that I'm using, the first one is going to be the CCM FT4 Pro. Second one is going to be the Hyperlite from BAUER. I probably am currently leaning towards the Hyperlite more than the FT4 Pro. That's mainly down to the curve. I just feel like this one is more set up for my particular style of playing. Of course, if you're going to ask me which stick is better, you have to wait for a video on CCM sticks versus BAUER sticks, because that is also coming. But if you're wondering, these are the two sticks that I am using at the moment. But as always, guys, a big thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If there's anything that you want to know or any questions that you have, please leave your comments down below, and make sure that you comment and tell me what equipment you're using. What skates, what stick, what protective, what helmet, what gloves, and make sure you let me know why. Leave those comments down below. But a big thank you for watching. Thumbs up if you like this type of content. Make sure you subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you can stay up to date with all of the videos that we post, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.